The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen. Many, many years ago, there was an emperor who was so terribly fond of beautiful new clothes that he spent all his money on his attire. He did not care about his soldiers, or attending the theater, or even going for a drive in the park, unless it was to show off his new clothes. He had an outfit for every hour of the day, and just as we say the king is in his council chamber, his subjects used to say the emperor is in his clothes closet. In the large town where the emperor's palace was, his life was happy, and every day new visitors arrived. One day, two swindlers came. They told everybody that they were weavers and that they could weave the most marvelous cloth. Not only were the colors and the patterns of their material extraordinarily beautiful, but the cloth had the strange quality of being invisible to anyone who was unfit for his office or unforgivably stupid. "This is truly marvelous," thought the emperor. "Now, if I had robes cut from that material, I should know which of my counselors was unfit for his office. I would be able to pick out my clever subjects myself. They must weave some material for me," and he gave the swindlers a lot of money so they could start working at once. They set up a loom and acted as if they were weaving, but the loom was empty. The fine silk and gold threads they demanded from the emperor they never used, but hid them in their own knapsacks. Late into the night, they would sit before the empty loom, pretending to weave. "I would like to know how far they've come," thought the emperor, but his heart beat strangely when he remembered that those who were stupid or unfit for their office would strangely not be able to see the material. Not that he was really worried that this would happen to him. Still, it might be better to send someone else the first time and see how he fared. Everybody in town had heard about the cloth's magic quality, and most of them could hardly wait to find out how stupid or unworthy their neighbors were. "I shall send my faithful prime minister to see the weaver," thought the emperor. "He will know how to judge the material, for he is both clever and fit for his office, if any man is." The good-natured old man stepped into the room where the weavers were working and saw the empty loom. He closed his eyes and opened them again. "God preserve me," he thought. "I cannot see a thing." But he didn't say it out loud. The swindlers asked him to step a little closer so that he could admire the intricate patterns and marvelous colors of the material they were weaving. They both pointed to the empty loom, and the poor old minister opened his eyes as wide as he could, but it didn't help. He couldn't see anything. "Am I stupid?" he thought. "I can't believe it, but if it is so, it is best no one finds out about it. But maybe I am not fit for my office. No, that is worse. I'd better not admit that about it, but let's see, even though I can't see what they are weaving." "Tell us what you think of it," demanded one of the swindlers. "It is beautiful. It is lovely," mumbled the old prime minister, adjusting his glasses. "What patterns, what colors. I shall tell the emperor that I am greatly pleased." "And that pleases us," the weaver said, and now they described the patterns and told which shades of color they had used. The prime minister listened attentively so that he could repeat their words to the emperor, and that is exactly what he did. The two swindlers demanded more money, more silk, and gold thread. They said they had to use it for their weaving, but their loom remained as empty as ever. Soon the emperor set another of his trusted counselors to see how the work was progressing. He looked and looked just as the prime minister had, but since there was nothing to be seen, he didn't see anything. "Isn't it marvelous, this piece of material?" asked one of the swindlers, and they both began to describe the beauty of their cloth again. "Isn't it a marvelous piece?" "I am not stupid," thought the emperor's counselor. "I must be unfit for my office. That is strange, but I'd better not admit it to anyone." And he started to praise the material, which he could not see, for the loveliness of its pattern and colors. "I think it is the most charming piece of material I have ever seen," declared the counselor to the emperor. Everyone in town was talking about the marvelous cloth that the swindlers were weaving. At last the emperor himself decided to see it before it was removed from the loom. Attended by the most important people in the empire, among them the prime minister and the counselor who had been there before, the emperor entered the room where the weavers were weaving furiously on the empty loom. "Isn't it magnifique?" asked the prime minister. "Your Majesty, look at the colors and the patterns," said the counselor, and the two old gentlemen pointed to the empty loom, believing that all the rest of the company could see the cloth. "What?" thought the emperor. "I can't see a thing. Why, this is a disaster. Am I stupid? Am I unfit to be emperor? Oh, it is too horrible." Aloud he said, "It is very lovely. It has my approval. while he nodded his head and looked at the empty loom. All the counselors, ministers, and men of great importance who had come with him stared and stared, but they saw no more than the emperor had seen, and they said the same thing that he had just said. "Isn't it lovely?" And they advised him to have clothes cut and sewn so that he could wear them in the procession at the next great celebration. "It is magnificent, beautiful, excellent," all of their mouths agreed, though none of their eyes had seen anything. The two swindlers were decorated and given the title of Royal Knight of the Loom. The night before the procession, the two swindlers didn't sleep at all. They had 16 candles lighting up the room where they worked. Everyone could see how busy they were, getting the emperor's new clothes finished. They pretended to take cloth from the loom. They cut the air with big scissors and sewed with needles without thread. At last they announced, "The emperor's new clothes are ready." Together with his courtiers, the emperor came. The swindlers lifted their arms as if they were holding something in their hands and said, "These are the trousers, this is the robe, and here is the train. They are all as light as if they were made of spider webs. It will be as if your majesty had almost nothing on, but that is their special virtue." "Oh yes," breathed all the courtiers, but they saw nothing, for there was nothing to be seen. "Will your imperial majesty be so gracious as to take off your clothes?" asked the swindlers. "Over there by the big mirror we shall help you put your new ones on." The emperor did as he was told, and the swindlers acted as if they were dressing him in the new clothes that they should have made. Finally, they tied around his waist the long train which two of his most noble courtiers were to carry. The emperor stood in front of the mirror admiring the clothes he couldn't see. "Oh, how they suit you! A perfect fit," everyone exclaimed. "What colors, what patterns! The new clothes are magnificent. The crimson canopy under which your imperial majesty is to walk is waiting outside." And the imperial master of court ceremony. "Well, I am dressed. Aren't my clothes becoming?" The emperor turned once around in the front of the mirror and pretended to study his finery. The two gentlemen of the imperial bedchamber fumbled on the floor trying to find the train which they were supposed to carry. They didn't dare admit that they didn't see anything, so they pretended to pick up the train and held their hands as if they were carrying it. The emperor walked in the procession under his crimson canopy, and all the people of the town who had lined the streets or were looking down from the windows said that the emperor's new clothes were beautiful. What a magnificent robe, and the train! How well the emperor's clothes suit him! None of them were willing to admit that they hadn't seen a thing, for if anyone did, then he was either stupid or unfit for the job he held. Never before had the emperor's clothes been such a success. "But he doesn't have on anything at all," cried a little child. "Listen to the innocent one," said the proud father, and the people whispered to each other and repeated what the child had said. "He doesn't have anything on." "There's a little child who says that he hasn't anything on." "He has nothing on," shouted all the people at last. The emperor shivered, for he was certain that they were right, but he thought, "I must bear it until the procession is over," and he walked even more proudly, and the two gentlemen of the imperial bedchamber went on carrying the train that wasn't there.